the DORK podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the DORK podcast. And Davey. It's the DORK podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Red Light Von Deadlight. He is promo code Ron Von D. All hail the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
Deadlight indeed, huh? Deadlight indeed.
That was pretty slick, huh?
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Slick. Once again, I ask you, how's your small dick fall going?
Pretty good. Hey, the one thing I did have a question on, did you ever get an answer as to why they call Adam Cole Chugs? Did we ever figure that out?
Oh, it's gotten buried. No one will ever know. Somebody should have asked him.
It's one of the
If
world's
we ever get him on the
greatest
podcast
questions.
again, Ryan, maybe we will.
Maybe I'll ask him, like, just to clarify that once and for all.
Adam Cole, baby.
Baby.
Greatest man to ever be on this podcast, and maybe my best friend in the world.
He doesn't know that, but right now we are immediately best friends.
A guy I feel like I've known for 20 years and lived with in high school, played sports with, and have done a podcast with for 7 years. I'm that close.
It has not been 7 years.
With Adam Cole, baby. It has been 6 years.
Has it really?
Yeah, we've done the podcast for 6 years.
Holy shit.
Now, the first 2 years, you didn't do it every week. Or the first 3 years.
But that's amazing to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
We've been doing the goddamn podcast long. Well, this is just on WEEI. This is the 268th episode.
And it's once a week, so it's 268 weeks. So do that math.
Do the math. Unless you have a bonus episode where you get to interview somebody like... Just count down.
Who is he? So who is he again? Remind me who he is.
He's the Chugs. He's the fucking Chugs. They
call him that because he's curious like a cat.
Yes, I know that. Well, as a friend of his, I know exactly what they call him. And he was playing the shit out of Halo Infinite today.
Yeah, we were gonna get to that
on his Twitch stream. He's all that's his favorite game, right? I know you didn't listen to the podcast, so I'm not spoiling anything here for you. But Halo 5, I think, is what got him like super into. And he even admits, he's like, I know most people don't even like Halo 5, but he like told the story. Again, it's a great story. You should probably listen to it. And it got him hooked, and he has been a gamer ever since.
Halo 5. He's been a gamer since Halo 5. Like, okay, new guy.
No. See, again, listen to the goddamn podcast. Don't talk about my friend that way, because he was always a gamer. He just said he wasn't like a crazy like gamer, like streaming games and all that stuff until he was at his brother's house, I think, and he played his brother's Halo 5, and he just like stayed up all night. It's in the podcast. It's in the YouTube. I
check that out. Yeah. And what's the name of the podcast again?
Well, it's the best episode not only of the year but of all time. We've only had 5 years of episode, and if I had to pick one episode as my absolute favorite, it'd be last week talking to Adam Cole.
The one I wasn't on. Perfect.
Correct.
Perfect.
All right, Ryan, we have a lot to get to today. We have a massive topic du jour. I know a lot of people are going to be listening for the topic du jour, so let's not waste any time and get to the news.
This week in DORK.
Last week, it was Disney Plus Day. How did you celebrate Disney Plus Day?
By retweeting every single poster that they put out and ranking what I think my stone count would be. That's how I celebrated Disney Plus Day.
There's a lot going on. Not a lot of surprises necessarily, but just a little bit more announcements.
We knew most of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and they also just pumped out a whole bunch of stuff that they made available on Disney Plus, including Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We did a standalone episode on that. You guys can check that one out. I assume most of you listening to this have already watched it, so a chance to watch it again. Or if you're waiting for it to stream, it is available now. Hopefully you watched it this weekend. Also, a movie I have not seen, Jungle Cruise. Have you seen that, and do you have any interest in that?
No interest in it.
Yeah,
and from the box office, I think not a ton of people had interest in it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen so many movies that I might give it a go. I'm not sure.
You got momentum at this point.
Yeah, it's there. So Marvel announcements, and they also did this. We're gonna rip through them and talk about what we do and what we don't know on some of these bad boys. But what I'll say is this: they released, not on Twitter, which was kind of annoying, but just on Disney Plus like a 14-minute video of just sort of announcements and things.
Yes.
And then the final 2 minutes of that had a lot of clips and little scenes of some of these shows we're about to talk about. But it was kind of odd how they released that. I didn't, as somebody who has Disney Plus, that's fine. I could see it, but I didn't care for that. I don't know why you didn't just put it out on Twitter or YouTube or something.
I mean, it is what I mean. Everything has to be like a goddamn spectacle now, Like,
Yeah,
so
I know.
I don't know. I mean, again, it wasn't anything huge.
No.
Like anything earth shattering. So like,
Yeah.
cool, a poster.
But we did get our first images of the Moon Knight series. So I'm going to add a little something here. I'm going to just a little of the logos here. If you're watching on YouTube, a little treat for you here, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
But Moon Knight, we know is going to come out next year. It's going to be 6 episodes starring Oscar Isaac. And I am very curious about how they're going to pull this off because some of the comics with Moon Knight, including the Jeff Lemire run, is fantastic. But I'm curious, how is it going to do, or what are they going to do on Disney Plus? Because I feel like you could go pretty dark here, and I don't know if they're willing to do that.
I don't think they're willing to do that. But again, like if you look at a show like The Mandalorian, I mean, they've done a good amount of violence, but not like Daredevil level violence.
Yeah,
or Punisher level violence.
Those shows are legit real violent.
Like the prison fight. I'm thinking like the prison fight.
Yes.
Was that the Punisher? Was it Daredevil season 2 when the Punisher's like in jail?
Yep.
Yeah. That was blood everywhere.
Almost anything like the fight, like when he beat up Jigsaw, or like this buddy who then turned into Jigsaw. Like that whole scene was fucking intense.
Oh, and that was like hard to watch too. Like,
I don't think they'll go there with Moon Knight.
Yeah,
they're not going to go there with Moon Knight.
I wish they would, but they're not going to.
Too. But Oscar Isaac's a good casting, and 6 episodes, I think, is a nice little. That's a sweet spot.
That's great. I think I think we got a little. There were some that we wished. I remember talking about this. I don't remember which show specifically. We were like 8 was a little too much. Like we could have done 6.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Falcon and Winter Soldier, was that only 6? That felt like it could have been less.
Like you said, that could have been a movie.
That should have probably just been a movie. Yeah, for sure. All right, so Moon Knight, we're obviously excited about. Let's go to the next thing right now. We have SheHulk.
Now, this is intriguing.
10 episodes.
10 episodes, but this is intriguing because now we know that Matt Murdock is involved.
Do we?
We do.
Okay.
So they're bringing it. So Charlie Cox is now, like, if we think about it, he's going to be in this. He is going to be in No Way Home, which the trailer is going to be out tomorrow as we speak right now.
Are you sure Daredevil's in this?
I would bet a kidney on it that he will be in this.
God. Well, that's not that risky. You only need 1 kidney.
Now, I believe it is canon that Matt Murdock and what is the character's name? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Jessica Walters.
They date.
I think at some point they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's important. And I think you're going to see, I think tomorrow with the No Way Home trailer, you're going to see a lot more than you think you're going to. And you're going to hear some voices and maybe see Matt Murdock. I would not be surprised.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, by the way. So we got a new poster for Spider-Man No Way Home today. We tweeted it out at Dork Podcast, and trailer tomorrow, or if you're listening to this on Tuesday, trailer today. And we'll also tweet that out at Dork Podcast. But also confirmed for the She-Hulk series is Hulk and Abomination. And we do know Kevin Feige confirmed that the She-Hulk character played by Tatiana Maslany will in fact cross over into films at some point.
Good.
So
now we're starting to. This is what we've always wanted.
Yes.
So I'm glad for that.
And a great character. And like they've done a million movies and shows at this point. So finally we are going to get She-Hulk. So I'm excited about that very much. To the next show we go, Ms. Marvel.
So this, I like the character of Ms. Marvel. I really like what they did with her in the Avengers video game with Kamala Khan. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I know there's a lot of speculation as to her powers and they're going to change them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too cool with that. But again, this is a character that we are pretty sure is going to cross over into films with the Marvels.
100%. In fact, this show is going to come out mid-2022. It is only going to be 6 episodes, and it is going to directly set up the Marvels.
Yes.
Now, they showed like a little clip of this in the little Disney Plus reel or whatever you want to call it. And this looked and I know Kamala Khan's a young character, but didn't this look the most not only kid friendly, but the most like targeted towards like a real younger audience? I feel
And I think they're trying to do that. It's going to be kind of like a spectrum of like what's more adult and what's more kiddie. And I think this is definitely more kiddie. Moon Knight is probably, and a couple others are probably geared more towards adults.
Yeah.
You know, but
All right. Let's go to the next one here. We have Secret Invasion. 6 episodes, 2022. So all 4 of these that we just talked about are all coming out next year.
Yep.
And it's going to really center around Nick Fury and Talos, played by Ben Mendelsohn from Captain Marvel. Also cast in the show, Olivia Colman, Amelia Cook, which is Daenerys Targaryen, and Shooter McGavin.
Yeah. So I mean, I have no idea what they're going to do with this.
I don't really care for it. I'll be honest. I'll watch it, but like the Krees and like the shapeshifters and all that shit,
and the
Skrulls. I mean, like I just, it's not for me. I'll be hopefully pleasantly surprised, but it's not. I'm super pumped for Moon Knight and She-Hulk. The last 2, I'm not as jazzed.
I don't know. I just feel like Marvel at some gets a little too alien heavy.
Yeah,
We rely a little too much on aliens.
I also think it's fair to say that Phase 4 has been pretty hit or miss. For me, like I didn't like Falcon Winter Soldier. I didn't like Eternals.
Shang-Chi was good.
So Shang-Chi was good, and so was Black Widow,
and so was Loki and
WandaVision.
WandaVision were great.
But What If sucked.
What If stunk.
So
and they're doing that again.
Yeah, I know.
Why?
So more hit than miss, but they also had a run there of about like 7 movies in a row that were all great, and like one was getting better than the other, and so now it's a little bit more. And this is just so much stuff now. This is a ton of stuff.
It's a ton of stuff. What a crop!
Look at this crop. All right, let's go to the next one. One that's a little bit more unknown to people.
I am so excited for this.
Echo.
So if you don't know who the character Echo is, and again now. If they do this correctly, this brings back Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin.
It should, because that is the father of Echo.
The adopted father of Echo, who becomes like it's a whole weird story that they think she's like crazy, so they put her in a special school, and then it turns out that her power, she's technically a mutant, and she can do like,
and she's deaf, right?
Yes, but she can do what like other people can do. Like
Pretty
that's
cool.
If she watches something, she could do it. So she watches someone play piano, and then she can play the piano. She watches footage of Daredevil and then figures out who he is, and actually defeats him at one point, and by like overloading his senses, basically.
So we gotta get Daredevil in this.
We have to get Daredevil and Kingpin have to be in this. Yeah. Not only that, but the character of Echo becomes Ronin at one point.
Oh,
so that's going to bring in Jeremy Renner too. So like now, like this is a pretty cool
Hawkeye,
character.
Yes,
you know. So this is actually a really, really cool character. But I'm excited for it.
All right, I'm excited for that too, for sure. All right, next one, Agatha, House of Harkness, of course, bringing back Agatha from the WandaVision series, and this is supposed to be a dark comedy, and it's also, I believe, been confirmed that Agatha, played by Catherine Hahn, will appear in other shows and films.
She has to, because she's kind of like the antithesis right now of Doctor Strange. So now you have.
You think she'll pop up in Doctor Strange? She should.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because my sense with this is that, you know, you have Strange and you have Agatha Harkness, and they're both trying to pull Wanda in one direction or the other.
Yeah.
And so is kind of the foil to Doctor Strange, which I think
I'm
is
excited.
Perfect.
I'm excited for this one. This one should be good. And Catherine Hahn was so good in WandaVision.
She's so good.
Really one of the best parts probably in WandaVision. All right, next one we have Ironheart. And so there's a character named Riri Williams who is set to be in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And then following that movie, there's going to be a spin-off show with her as Ironheart. So there's Ironheart. So we'll learn a lot more about her in the next Black Panther movie.
And which is fine. I don't know how good this is going to be. I'm not really a big fan of this character. And by the way, I hate the name.
It's not great.
I've never liked the name Ironheart.
I don't like it either. I don't care for it
Yeah.
one bit.
Nope.
I don't like it one bit. Could be Cho jeans. Could be great. I don't know. It's you sort
Prove
of
me
gotta.
wrong at this point. Prove me wrong.
All right, Marvel Zombies.
No, thank you.
It was not even the best episode in the What If series, and yet they took that and they're like, let's make it a whole thing. I don't care for it.
Do not
It's
care
not
for
good
it.
behavior.
I don't care about it.
I don't care about it.
Yeah.
But so that's Marvel Zombies.
That is tattoos.
All right, I wonder how you feel about this one. Spider-Man Freshman Year, which is going to be an animated series about Peter Parker's origin story. So it is the Tom Holland character that we saw from Homecoming, like debuted in Civil War, that we saw him in Homecoming. And this is going to be sort of like how he got his powers and shit, but it's going to be animated. And
So
I don't know.
there's going to be a couple things that what is going to decide whether or not this is good for me. Now, for me, like when someone pitched it, I was like, we don't need it. It's done. Like we don't need this. If you get if Tom Holland or someone good does the voice acting, that is going to be what a make or break for me. But really,
Good point.
they showed some like clip or like inspirational art for it, and like part of it was like the very first image of like Peter Parker with like the sweater vest and the tie and like all that stuff. If it looks like that, I'm kind of out on it. But if they do something cool with the animation, if the animation itself looks awesome, I'll watch it.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
And I want to see, like, with Spider-Man, it's so much movement, like how he moves and what he looks like when he's moving. That's such a critical part of this. And if they screw that up in the animation, I'm out on that.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, the next one also animated. In fact, we have a series of animated things here. I Am Groot.
This has got to be like, I mean, we talk about like being geared towards kids. I feel like my kids will absolutely eat this up.
100%. It's going to be a bunch of animated shorts of obviously young Groot, baby Groot, going on adventures. So,
and they will watch on their own now, since my daughter knows how to work a TV now, which is and the Apple TV. They will watch the first like 10 minutes of Guardians 2 just for fun, sometimes just to watch them like dance around. And
it is a good time.
Yeah, it is a good time.
I don't think it's great. Like, I'm not like, okay, baby Groot's cute, baby Groot's whatever, but like, I don't know about a whole show. It's gonna be interesting to see how much, like, is Rocket in every thing with him? Is he always with the Guardians? I would assume he is, but maybe he's not. Like, and I'll watch it. I mean,
I think him and Groot, like there was a Rocket and Groot series that was like shorts.
Yeah.
But I think this would be good if it's just like Rocket trying to like run after him and like take care of him. Like that would be good for me.
Yeah. All right, continuing with the animated theme, Davey, you already mentioned it. What if season 2? What if they didn't make a season 2 because the season 1 stunk?
Yeah, what if season 1 was good, right?
Oh, that'd be great. Oh, they could go back in time and make it good. The only redeeming quality of the first one, well, there was 2. There was the Chadwick Boseman stuff in that one episode was really good, and then I love Jeffrey Wright as the Watcher, and I hope they make him live action at some point.
Yeah, I mean, just the way they did. Who was it Lawrence Fishburne was the voice of Silver Surfer in?
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
so that would be like that kind of voiceover would be cool.
And then Ryan, the last thing that was announced, at least for the Marvel stuff on Disney Plus Day, was a reboot of XMen the animated series, one of the greatest animated series of all time. They're calling it XMen 97. And what's really fascinating about this, it won't come out till 2023, but it's the first MCU property to officially have even though it's a reboot, to have the X-Men.
Which is interesting because that, if it's in fact in the MCU, isn't that at the same time or right around the time of Captain Marvel shows up? So
yeah, 90s.
So this is cool. And one of the things that I love that it started with SheHulk, where they announced that they were doing SheHulk. And these idiots on Twitter were like, why does everything have to be like women and blah, blah, blah? Like, why does Hulk have to be a woman now? I'm like, don't you understand that this character has been around for decades?
Yep.
And now you're just like getting pissed off to get pissed off. And similar, I bring that up because like you look at, because they talked about like they want to have a multicultural, diverse writing team for X-Men, and people are like, why are you hiring like these woke writers? And they don't understand that the X-Men were created as an allegory for like civil rights
Yeah.
and marginalized people. Like that's the whole point of
Oh, I mean,
X-Men.
Professor X and Magneto are Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
Right.
Okay.
Like that's the whole point of it. And like, oh, you're hiring woke writers and you're blah, blah, blah. Like you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot.
Like in the world of like Dork, there's nothing lamer than the white guy complaining about like other superheroes. Like, do you know how many white guy superheroes there are? They're all of them. All of them.
And you know what's funny is like,
and people don't understand, and I'm not going to get up on a soapbox right now, but people don't understand the importance of representation and how game changing that can be, game changing, life changing that can be for young kids that don't feel like they've ever seen somebody like themselves on the screen. And if you're going to complain that, oh my God, they changed so and so to not be a white guy, there's enough white superheroes out there. We're good. We're good for a while. Like, we don't need any new ones, by the way.
And again, like we're not, you know, I'm not married to any of this stuff. Like, I think if you change it, fine. Like there was, you know, talking about like Cowboy Bebop, like, you know, which I'm going to talk about in the later in the show. Like they changed the ethnicity of like one of the characters. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
What do you care?
I know it's
so, unless it's central to like that. Like you can't make Black Panther.
Correct.
You know, you can't just because of who the character is. It's central to who the character is, right? So
I would agree.
Yeah, I don't think there's like, it doesn't matter if Captain America is white or black or whatever. It doesn't matter.
No.
That's not central to the character, you know?
Doesn't matter. So also Disney Plus Day, clearly not just Marvel. They have a million goddamn things. And so some of the Star Wars stuff, they're a little light on Star Wars, but you got like a little clip or two or still of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which I think, Ryan, might be the thing I am the most excited for over the next year, 2 years.
The more they tell us about it, the more excited I get, because we found out that Ahsoka Tano is going to be in it. Hayden Christensen's going to be in it. The Inquisitors are going to be in it now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Like the Jedi hunting Inquisitors, like that's going to be sick.
Oh my God, I can't wait. And you can tell that like Ewan McGregor is like into it and he's excited to do it and he's all about it. And there still is so much story to be told between episode 3 and 4. And what
do they say? He's like what? Like he's like 16 years. It's been 16 years since he's been Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he's almost like the right age.
Oh, wow. Well, there is funny though when they talk about like when they do the math and they're like, Art of Obi-Wan was this old here, and then when he becomes Alec Guinness, it's like, man, he went through some shit. Like he got fucking old.
But he's almost the right age now that he would be. If you know.
All right. So between Kenobi and all of those shows we just mentioned, what are you the most excited for, and what are you the least excited for?
I am the least excited for What If Season 2.
Same.
I'm probably the most excited for House of Harkness or Echo.
Good one.
Yeah.
I would say I agree with you on What If. That's clearly the worst one on here. I'll give everything else a chance. Probably most excited for either Moon Knight, SheHulk, or Kenobi. Those are probably my top 3. By the way, Hawkeye, first 2 episodes stream a week from Wednesday. So coming out real soon. Also, what did you think of this news? Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is going through several hours of reshoots.
So I was reading about it today because I knew this was going to come up. And one of the things they said, and this could be really good spin.
Feels like
this could be. They said the reason they're doing extensive reshoots is because the people who were on other projects are now available and weren't available for like all of them.
This is
Julie.
This is also a movie, Ryan, that changed directors at one point. Right? It was supposed to be Scott.
I thought you were going to hit a button. You look like you were going to hit a button.
No, I'm just looking over here. No, but Scott Derrickson, who I love, and he did Sinister. He also did the first Doctor Strange. He was initially on board. Then they swapped it out, and Sam Raimi's on now, who's great. But I don't know. Reshoots is sort of a scary thing.
So they, sorry, Matthew. I almost killed myself, Julie.
Don't swear. Oh my God! What game show have you ever seen that had swearing in it?
So for me, I don't know, because the whole thing they said they tested it with Marvel employees, and they were like, nah. And that was the impetus.
Bubbins isn't the best baby of the year. I'll kill myself on live TV.
Stop saying that. You have to
Stop it. Stop.
So I don't know what to believe. Hopefully it's like, we couldn't get Elizabeth Olsen or Catherine Hahn to do their cameos, so now we can because they're available. I mean,
Or
everybody.
Fox. Julie, please. I mean, I was born at night, not last night. Come on,
right?
Come on, Marvel. But I've also they punted all of the MCU movies next year, like 3 months each. And I don't know if that's pandemic related or if they're like, oh shit, we got to like redo stuff because they like bumped each one down a slot.
You know what? All that means is they're trying to get it right. That's all that means. That's all that means.
I hope you're right.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking of Marvel, the actor who plays Scott Lang Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, was named the sexiest man alive.
Well, which is crazy to me because he's looked the exact same for 30 years. So I don't understand.
He's incredible. Yeah, how has he not won before?
There's got to be some deal with the devil. If he's the sexiest man now at like 50 something, like where have you been?
Who would you say is the sexiest man alive? Present company excluded.
Yeah, I would say you, obviously.
Who would you say is the sexiest man alive? Because I have one suggestion.
I have one suggestion too, and I think I've mentioned it on this show before. Tom Hardy is my guy.
That's your sexiest man alive?
Yep.
You know who mine is?
Who? What's the thing he does with his hand? He's like,
well, he does the boom.
Yeah.
But then he also does the Adam Cole Bebe, and the whole crowd yells Adam Cole Bebe. Yeah. Sexiest man alive.
Boom. Yep.
In your face.
Bruce Valanche.
Speaking of some sexy men, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Reynolds, sexy man. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, sexy man. And Gail Gadot, sexy woman, are in the film Red Notice, which is currently streaming on Netflix. I started it. It's fine. I didn't have 2 hours, so I watched like
it was sneaky long.
Yeah, it's long. I started it. I'm like,
it is like
it's fine.
I tweeted out like
it's
the first 20 minutes of the movie, you have an aviation gin and like whatever Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's tequila is make a prominent cameo.
What's his tequila? Like Terra something
like that. Like Terra, whatever. But they're full display, like label out and everything within 20 minutes. Now,
MacGruber, he has a drink or two each night, but it doesn't affect his job. MacGruber, the guy's a social drinker. MacGruber.
I wasn't blown away with it's so quippy. It's
and I like Ryan Reynolds and The Rock. Their relationship is exactly what you think it would be. It's exactly how you think it would go. And so far, I was watching it. I'm like, oh, this is like Ocean's 11 if it sucked. So it's like Ocean's 12.
So it's like Ocean's 12. It's like super, and everything that Dwayne Johnson says, like Ryan Reynolds has a quip for it.
Correct.
Or he says something like
maybe two tree.
Maybe a couple, 2, 3, but like it's just okay.
All right.
It's almost exhausting.
So I haven't finished it yet, but you guys can let us know what you think at Dork Podcast on Twitter or dorkpodcast@gmail.com. Also, this past weekend was AEW Full Gear, the pay-per-view event starring none other than Adam Cole Bebe, but tremendous sign in the crowd. So MJF is the name of like the biggest heel they have. Like he's the guy that goes out there and is like, oh, the women in here are ugly and all the guys here like have small dicks. Like he's that guy. So I'm like, yeah, you're right. Happy fall, MJF.
Yes.
Somebody had a sign in the front row that said MJF like sloppy steaks. Perfect. Fucking perfect. So anyway, so there was that little bit of wrestling news in there.
Yep.
I had a should I have bought this. We're going to move it to next week because it has just been we have a jam-packed episode and we're already about halfway through. So let's get to this.
It's time for Davey's video game minute. Even if it takes more than a minute.
All right, so what do you have?
All right. Well, first of all, this portion of the program is brought to you by our friends at Wild Bill Soda. Go to drinkwildbillsoda.com. I really fucked that up.
Jesus
Go to
Christ.
drinkwildbills.com. Use the promo code RonVonD and get yourself 20% off anything they got in that goddamn place. Just do it.
And she probably got 5 new boyfriends. We haven't caught anybody coming out of the house yet, but you know, just a matter of time. She's not lonely. Yeah. I apologize.
I apologize. So I'm going to rip through the easy stuff right now.
Yeah.
Twitch is now on Switch. So if you want to watch Twitch on your Switch, you can now do that. It's part of their app thing. Your boy, Bubba Fett, is coming to Fortnite. Who gives a shit?
Get the fuck out of here!
Davey, did you mute your mic? Did you mute your mic? Did you mute your mic?
Am I good? Am I good now?
Yeah. Did you seriously mute your mic?
No, it said that my internet connection lost connection to my microphone, which is what does that even mean?
All of a sudden I look up. Yeah. Everybody's like, Davey's gone. No audio on Davey. I'm like, I thought I hit a button. I hit Wendy Williams. Next thing I know, I couldn't hear a word you were saying.
I'm sitting there talking. I'm doing my thing, and I look up, and the left is like, your internet has lost connection to your microphone. I'm like, how the fuck is that possible? It's hardwired to my. Anyway, whenever. Where did I lose you?
We'll edit all that in post.
Did I start about the GTA Definitive Collection? Did I lose you on that?
Yeah. Were you about to say it's?
I was about to say. So it's a piece of shit cash grab, and if you bought it, you're a moron. Because one of the things I was watching is that you can play in like first person, but if you go to look behind you, it's like the character's face, like so you turn the camera on, look behind you, it's like just a big face, and you like run and you just like got like
get out of here.
It's the piece. And like they didn't. I don't even know like what the graphic updates are because it looks so bad.
Yeah. No,
like
forget
whatever. I'm over like whatever. It doesn't even matter. So I guess PlayStation, by the way, announced this week that they have 25 exclusive titles in the works right now. 25.
Wow, it's a lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And they're buying up studios left and right, like really good studios that are just going to work for them exclusively. So Xbox was like, I have this big Bethesda deal, and all these Bethesda games are going to be Xbox exclusives. And PlayStation was like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Start buying up all these companies that they're just going to work for them exclusively.
Pretty cool.
And then today, the biggest news, obviously, today was the celebration of the Xbox's 20th anniversary. I watched a little bit of it. Ninja was streaming the whole thing on his channel. He has a history of backing losers, so he was all about the Xbox today. And not to say that, like, okay, I know we take a lot of heat for being like PlayStation fanboys, but please understand that like I have a PC, so anything I can use, I can play on an Xbox, I can play on a PC because it's just Microsoft, so whatever. But the big news that came out of that, and they kind of waited to the end, was that the Halo Infinite multiplayer is now live in beta. So I was watching a bunch of people play it. You said you were watching Adam Cole play it. I was watching Doc play it, and it looks like a Halo game. Like it's just like a shinier Halo game. Like those games are good. They're good games. I've had a lot of fun playing Halo games in my day. I just don't think this is going to compel me to buy an Xbox when I can play it on a PC. It doesn't.
Yeah, same. No, it's
anything. If we've learned anything during COVID, it's like graphics and teraflops and all this shit don't matter. It's all about gameplay. It's all about story. If it's a single player game, but like, yeah, okay, good for you, Halo. Happy 20th. Xbox. Happy 20th birthday. And their whole thing was like, hey, remember Halo?
Yeah, I do. I remember.
But that was like the whole Xbox. I was watching a bit of it, and it was like, hey, remember Halo? And people were like, yay, Halo. And they're like, remember Halo 2? And they're like, yeah.
Forget.
Like, remember ODST? And they're like, ugh. All right, we get it, you know. But whatever. So that's the Davies Video Game Minute, brought to you by our friends at Wild Bill Soda. Go to drinkwildbills.com. Do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care.
Y'all ready for bisque?
Got a question for you, Ryan. Are you ready for bisque? And the topic du jour.
Well, you got to pick one. I can't be ready for two things at once.
Well, I'm glad you asked, because today it's the topic of the day, and it is Squid Game, the most watched Netflix series ever.
Yes. And by the way, you forgot to mention Red Notice, the most watched movie premiere ever.
Oh wow, there you go.
But anyway, so Squid Game. But let's talk Squid Game because
so
we're here for that.
Today, the topic is your not Red Notice.
Nope, thank God.
Squid Game,
Mhm.
9 episodes, all ranging. I think there's one kind of short one, like 36 minutes. Most of them are in the 45 to 55-minute range. It has already been picked up for a season 2, which it kind of wasn't for a little while, but that was announced last week. We'll begin as we do with all of our movie and TV reviews, spoiler free. Ryan, did you like it?
I loved it.
Same.
I loved it.
It was awesome.
I was hooked. It was one of those things I had heard a lot about, and I'm like, I'm kind of put out. I want to see what other people say, and I want to. There are certain people in my life. You are one of them that I trust when they say like, "This is what it is." I'm like, all right, cool. I can watch it. You know, you and I hadn't seen it, so I was kind of waiting on somebody who had. I got the green light and ripped through it in like 3 days.
Yeah, because I think it was a pick of the pod of yours a while ago before I had seen it, and everybody had talked about it, and I don't even know what it was because people were like, Squid Game, really popular, and it's like the way it was explained to me by somebody was so poor. I forget who it was, and they were just like, "Oh, it's like people doing stuff for money," which is partly true, but I thought it was a reality show at first. The way they set it up, I'm like, oh, like that, and they're like, and then somebody else was like, no. And remember, I was asking you about it. You're like, no, it's just a show. It's like a South Korean show on Netflix.
And the way it was pitched to me was like, oh, it's like Hunger Games. I'm like, I'm kind of over that.
Yeah, I don't want to watch that. Hunger Games.
Yeah, I don't want
that.
I don't want that.
I don't want that. Makes me think I'm back in the pants. So to me, it's not really like Hunger Games.
It's not.
And we'll get into it. Also, I made the mistake, and we talked about this before on the podcast, that don't make the mistake that I did. The first episode, I watched it dubbed.
This is big. Yeah.
And dubbed sucks. So sometimes you don't know what your Netflix like pre-program is, but just make sure you have the ability to turn off dub. You don't need the English dub. Just read the subtitles, listen to the actual actors' voices, and it's so much better.
It's so much better because you can actually hear.
Yeah.
Like I don't speak Korean, but like tone, like the tone of their voice was completely off. And one of the unintentional funniest things about this show, I will talk about in spoilers, had to do with Bozo in the dub.
Who did the dub?
Yeah.
The premise is Seong Ji-hun, a divorced father and indebted gambler who lives with his elderly mother, is invited to play a series of children's games for a chance at a large cash prize. Accepting the offer, he is taken to an unknown location where he finds himself among 456 players who are all deeply in debt. The players are made to wear green tracksuits and kept under the watch at all times by masked guards in pink jumpsuits, with the games overseen by the frontman who wears a black mask and black uniform. The players soon discover that losing a game results in their death, with each death adding $100 million to the potential $45.6 billion grand prize.
And I did that. I looked it up, and it's won is the. And I think the conversion, I think it winds up being like almost $38 million.
Okay, because it was just so funny listening to it. And like, I understand that currency is different all over the world, but when they kept talking about millions and billions and everything else, I'm just like, but they were even like out on the street and they're like buying like a hot dog for like 10 grand. And you're just like, I'm like, my fucking head can't handle this. I'm like,
and there's one point where like the main character like asks someone for like 10,000 won, and you're like, it's a single bill.
Right. I'm like,
it's like $10.
Like, yeah. I'd be swimming over there with all the zeros. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what to do with the money. But the story is fucking awesome. Like it is really good. It sucks you right in. What did you think of the characters in this? And we'll get into it more, obviously, in spoilers. But did you find there to be a lot of compelling characters?
There were. And so there's a lot of characters that you were kind of like rooting for. One of them I was actively rooting for. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to tell you who people die in this show. I mean, the whole premise is that
there are a lot of death. That's one thing that it is super violent, and that might turn some people off of the show, which I guess I would understand. But I mean, Game of Thrones is violent, so it's like one of those things
so
where
funny. I think that, sorry to step on your funk there, but like, it's so funny, like the juxtaposition of like children's games and like ultra violence. Is super jarring the first time you see it.
Good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Did you? Was there any comedy in it?
Yes.
There's some laughs, right?
There's some actually legitimately funny things that happened in the show.
So I was looking up the director because I really like this guy now. So the guy who wrote it, directed it, and like created the whole thing was one guy, and Hwang Dong-hyuk. I probably butchered that, but I was just looking him up a little bit because first of all, he absolutely dunked on LeBron. Like, so LeBron James was like in the Squid Game because everybody's in the Squid Game, but then he like shit all over the ending. And I'm gonna paraphrase here, but the director came out and basically shit over the fact that LeBron has lost 6 finals and was like, I'm sure he would like to have different endings in those ones too. Hilarious. But I was looking him up and like pretty crazy is he did a movie called Silenced in 2011. Did you read about this at all?
No.
This is pretty crazy. And so it's based off of I think a book, but it's like real events. And this is really fucked up. There was a school in Korea for the hearing impaired where young deaf students were the victims of repeated sexual assaults by faculty members. And he did a movie about it. And the movie was so good and so many people saw it that it revised the whole bill over there about statute of limitations and like sex crimes against minors. It's insane. But so this guy did that 10 years ago. And now before Squid Game is what he was most known for. But
Crazy.
yeah, somebody wrote a book about it, like a real book, and then he took to it. And just looking at the movie poster, one of the guys, so you know the guy that basically goes around like recruiting people to be in it? He's like on the poster, so he was obviously in this movie called Silenced, which is probably a really heavy fucking movie, but I think I might want to check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. What obviously a must watch. What's your dork score?
5.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 5.5 as well. I was teetering. I'm like, I don't think it's a 6, and we can get into why it's not, but I think it's better than most 5s. So I'm gonna go 5. So we agree.
It's better than most 5s. It's almost perfect. It is almost perfect.
Yep. I have questions, but again, that's why I think the show's also pretty good. So 5.5, 5.5. Anything else spoiler free?
No, please, let's get to this.
Spoilers! Spoilers! Here come the spoilers!
All right. So let's talk about this in a couple of different ways. Let's talk about how we would react to a universe with Squid Game. And the one reason why I would say it is absolutely not Hunger Games is Hunger Games was in sort of a like the world was so much more fucked up.
It's a dystopian society. Yes.
Whereas Squid Game takes place like now. Like Squid Game, like you would walk outside and it's just like there could be a Squid Game going on right now in our world.
Yeah, for sure.
So going back to that guy who goes around and is like recruiting people, and the guy that we come into contact with, who's player 456, and he meets him in like the subway station. Long story short, would you, Ryan, ever let somebody slap you in the face and a chance to win a few bucks?
Now it's more than just a few bucks, because like the thing is, it's like, so you have like those 2 pieces of paper and you like slam them on the ground and you try to get the other person. It's like Pogs. So you try to get the other person to like flip.
It's similar to Pogs. Yeah.
And you have to like slam their thing and like so. And what is the amount of money? It's a good amount of money.
Yeah, it was good.
And he's like, "We'll keep going. Like if you beat me, it's like 10,000.
It wasn't
10,001.
Yeah. What was it? Was it in the million? I mean, I'm sorry. It was in the tens of thousands?
I thought it was like, the equivalent of like a couple $100.
Okay.
So it's like, if you flip mine, I'll give you, so let's just simplify it. So like, if you flip my thing, I'll give you $500. If you don't, I get to slap you in the face and we'll just keep going.
But he's like smacking the shit out of him.
I would probably do it 10 times.
Yeah.
And my caveat would be, you got to slap me with fingers. You can't slap me with your palm, because that's going to like knock me out. I don't want you to knock me out.
I don't want you to knock me out. I want you to fuck up my teeth.
Yeah. So
But
it's going to be fingers.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But for a few
I would
bucks,
absolutely do that.
Yeah, I would do that. Now, would you ever, let's just cut to it. Would you ever consider entering the Squid Game if you were really down and out?
No, it depends. I mean, like down and out is like, if I just didn't have any money, no, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I'm me now, like I have a family, like I'm not going to do that. I mean, the people do, but like, that's fucking crazy to me. Like, that's crazy.
I'm with you, and not to make this too heavy. It's a light podcast, but not to make it too heavy. I'm actually the opposite of the characters in this game. I feel like if I was alone and needed like a big break, or was like, you know what, like a lot of money would change my life personally, my life, and I was only risking my life, I might. Like if it got that bad and I was like alone and I had no money, but even if I had no money, but now that I have a wife and a kid, there's no fucking way.
So for me, like you said, if I was down and out, like say like, and again, I don't want to get too dark, but like I didn't have a family, or like my wife and kids had crossed over the rainbow bridge.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anything. Like I was like, I might, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Like if I were thinking about doing something really bad to myself, in my head, I'd be like, why not? What's the worst that can happen? Thank you for breaking the tension. Well, you know what I mean? If I'm having some sick thoughts.
Yeah. If I was like, what's the point? I would enter.
I'd be like, fine, whatever. Exactly. Thank you for breaking the tension. I think you knew where I was going with that. And you're like, we're talking, I mean, as a mental health advocate, always please reach out, talk to somebody, you know, let's not go down that road, but thank you. Yeah, you get my point.
No, I do, but that's the whole thing. Like, and that's the whole, like, also like concept of the show. Like, you know, it's a show, but then it's like, they do a pretty good job of explaining why each character is there. They're all there for like essentially the same reason, but like the motivations are all very different for all of them. I also thought it was interesting, like once they all agreed to go, so they're all there, but one of the rules is if everybody, or no, I'm sorry, if the majority of people will stop the games, they will stop the game. So they got everybody in there. And I still kind of question like the logistics of like just making people disappear. And you also find out that the game has been going on for 30 years.
Right.
They've just been like taking people away. And something that you don't realize at the beginning, at least I didn't realize at the beginning, is that there's only one winner. At the very beginning, didn't you think like, oh, maybe a group of them could win? Because I know that's what they thought, because they kept talking about like, when we get out of here, we will spend the money this way.
Right. Or if they get down to it and they could say like, hey, we're done.
Yeah.
Like we can walk, you can split it. You know, but they never, there's one winner. Yeah.
There's one winner, and it was it. And they don't really tell you that at any point until one of the episodes in the middle. And there's a really interesting character, and sort of, and again, we're going to sort of jump around here, but the character of Jun Ho, who's the police officer, is a fascinating sort of, so it's like almost like you're watching two stories as the show's going on.
Right.
And to me, the first time I realized there's only going to be one winner was when he broke in and he got into the files and he was flipping through and it said years and like results, and there was only one name on each thing.
Yeah.
That was the first time I think it was even like kind of pointed out that, oh shit, there's only one. And then it jumps back to all of the participants, and they don't even know that yet. And like you now as an audience member know that, oh fuck, only one of
these guys are getting out. And you know, or guys or people,
or girls or whatever. Yeah.
And yeah, and I think there's some people who automatically think like, I'm here to take all the money. It doesn't matter. And then there's some that are like, oh, we can split it. You know, if the two of us are like the two guys who are from the neighborhood, if you had like Sung Woo and Ji-hun, if they win, they're like, all right, we're gonna split it, like whatever.
Well, there's a husband and wife team in there.
Which, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like that episode.
Yeah.
We'll get into it with the marbles.
Yep.
Holy shit. That episode. That was my favorite episode of the whole series.
That was so good. So once you got in there and you saw that somebody could get killed, they had the vote and it was super close and they voted out. Why do you think? So again, now knowing what we know now, the old man, the one with the brain tumor, player number one.
What's his name? Ilnam. Ilnam. Yeah.
Was the guy who created the whole thing. He's the mastermind behind the entire thing. Knowing what we know now, why do you think because he was the deciding vote and he said to end the game?
Because I think he knew that they would be back. That I'm guessing that he's seen this a bunch of times and knew that eventually they'd come back.
And then at that point they would want to be there.
Right. And
It's like,
and at that point, it's almost better because they know what they're getting into,
yeah.
and so they're more. If that makes any sense. So like in the psychology, and that's one of the things that I really loved about this show is the psychology of this, of like pitting
Mhm.
people against each other and like how what that does to you.
Yeah, Brad in the chat has a good one about how basically they have that realization. We're talking about canceling the game, and then they go back in and they're like, yeah, the real world, like not having money or owing people money or not all this stuff was worse than being in there where we just saw people getting shot and killed right in front of us.
And what's crazy, like I talk about like the psychology of it, like think of like if you were a down and out person and like the rule in the outside world, there's no rules that you can fuck with, but like here, I can make all, and I know the rules. I know what I'm in for. The
Yeah.
game itself might be a surprise, but at least I know that if I do this, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And
All
that,
right.
and to me, like that's the thing that like kind of kept people coming back. It's like, all right,
Mhm.
I don't know what's going to happen to me. I know what's going to happen to me here.
Yeah.
If that
Yeah.
makes any sense. Yeah.
Would you, if you were in there,
Mhm.
do you think you would try to form alliances, or do you think you would like think long term and just play a solo game?
No, I think you're always constantly looking out for yourself, but you need to. I mean, shit. I mean, it's like prison. Like you have to have not friends, but you have to have allies. You
Yeah,
have
I
to
don't
have
think
people.
you probably couldn't survive solo.
Could not do it alone.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Right.
You have to make connections with people that will like. And again, I think of you have to have what they started to do. They have a mix. Like so, the team with Jihyun and like everybody, like that team is like, all right, we need a mix of like
Yeah, for
different
sure.
because they had the old guy who was really smart.
Yeah.
Or like who knew like how to like win at certain games.
And I didn't know that he was the head of it, but I did immediately think he had experience there. And I thought
Yeah.
watching it originally, I was like, oh, he probably like right away. And there's a look he gives in the first game where he's like kind of sandbagging it, and then he runs out and freezes and kind of like looks over.
And he's like smiling. Yeah.
Yes. I was like, this guy's won it before. That's what I thought anyway.
I thought he had won it before and like blew all the money and was back.
Good one. Yeah, that's a good point. I was like, or I just thought he was one of those guys that was like outside of here is so boring. And you actually kind of like you have like that
Like a Hurt Locker thing. He was
Yeah,
like
like
an
a thrill
adrenaline
seeker.
junkie.
Yeah. I thought he was. So
But
I
he
knew
also
that
mentioned, it was because he also mentioned his son a
Yeah.
couple times. So, and I thought he was like, okay, he was trying to leave money for his son. Like that was his motivation. Like he was going to die anyway, so it didn't matter. So like you said, he had done it before,
Right.
made it out. So maybe that was the other thing too. Like he gave the people the illusion that you could get out without winning and then come back.
Yeah.
So it's just it's like an onion, you know.
All right, let's rip through the games.
Mhm.
How would you do in red light, green light?
I think I'd be okay because I think what you watch, first of all, you stay behind somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And it's what it is, Richard, is it's a low base.
Okay.
And you kind of shuffle.
Shuffle.
It's not a full out sprint. You
Like a
have to
crab?
stay under control.
Like a big crab?
It's a low base, hands out. Right. But it's just like you saw
Like Gary Payton. Like Gary Payton playing full court press, kind of fucking slide.
Yeah, you slide. Because you don't want to pick your feet up and start running. Because that's when you're going to be off balance. And that's when but you stay balanced. I think I would be, as soon as I figured out, and I would, again, keep people in front of me.
So I think that is the thing. Because a lot of people, when they've discussed this, they're like, oh, I would definitely be fine. I think you have to caution yourself because you don't know at that point. It's the first game. You don't know that they're killing people. Therefore, if I survive the first wave, which I don't know if I would, because I might kind of like look around,
just fucking go, just
and
as
then I
fast
might
as you can.
sprint,
Yeah.
and then I might stop and like kind of skid. But if you skid like that, they're gonna fucking shoot you.
And the other thing too, that one of the things that they did a really good job in terms of like sound editing, the noise of the gunshots like would freak people out.
Yeah,
Like
that's the other thing. Yeah, you might actually stop and be frozen, and then somebody next to you gets fucking shot in the brain.
and you jump.
Like, how could you not?
Yeah. Or you like look down. You know what I mean? Like you look and then you're done, gone too. Yeah.
And that character is fucking scary too. That big doll. Like that
So
big
it's funny.
thing.
So I was talking to some of my Korean students, and they were like, What is red light, green light?" Because that's not what the game. It's not what the doll is singing. It's something about like flowers growing.
Oh, interesting.
It's so like it's not a direct translation. So like they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind
That's
of
not what. And they were like, it was weird to me because they kept saying like red light, green light, but like that's not what the game is called here
interesting.
or in Korea.
So
Yeah,
they fucking kind of changed that
Yeah.
up a little bit. Yeah. So the next game, it's called Poggi.
yep. It's like I forget how to pronounce it, but
It's
yeah.
a double P, so I don't know how to say it, but basically it's the sugar candy tracing game where you're given 10 minutes to take a thin little like sugar, not even a cookie, it's like so thin.
Yeah,
And
it's basically like it's like caramel. It's like melted sugar.
and
Yeah.
there's 4 shapes: circle, triangle, star, and an umbrella. And this is one where if you didn't dislike the guy before, player 218,
Mhm.
you hate him now because he got tipped off as to what this might be, and he doesn't help any of his friends at all. He takes an easy one, and our guy, who's I would say essentially the main character, 456,
Mhm.
he grabs the umbrella, and you're like, is he gonna die? Because there's no fucking way I could do the umbrella. And under that pressure, because that's the other thing, it's not just like on a whim or like for fun, but
Mhm.
under that pressure, I think outside of maybe the triangle, I don't think I could fucking do it.
And so he comes up with a really good plan. And I'm actually sneaky good at repetitive I don't know what it is. It's like ADD or something, but like I have like like if I'm doing something like
You do the same motion.
like the same like repetitive tasks, like I'm super good at them. So like I think I would be okay at this. And
Okay.
again, the idea of like wetting it because it's sugar, so it'll melt. So like you wet
Yeah,
like
him licking the shit out of it was pretty
yeah,
smart.
so that was pretty smart. But like and like holding it up, so you actually do it from the back side
Yes,
because it's already pressed down on one side, so you can do like the other side of it. Like
That's
that was
smart.
actually really smart.
That's pretty smart.
And something that I said, like, why don't you just flip it over and do it from the backside?
Yeah.
Because he
That's
held
pretty-
it up to the light so you could see it, and then
Yeah.
he would like do that. Like that, I would have figured that out. Not to like toot my own horn, but like that's something that
All good.
oddly I would be good at, and I have a very steady hand.
So that's
So,
huge.
yeah.
That's huge. So that only gets you through 2 games.
hmm
Game 3, you pick teams of 10 and you don't know what the game is. Now, again, the one guy does. Like there's the one guy who's the
The
doctor.
doctor, yeah.
That's another whole side story in this whole
the whole
show.
thing,
Is you have
yeah.
the doctor and he's taking organs and he's taking all kinds of shit from the dead bodies and he's getting in and out of there, which I feel like would have been more difficult to do than he actually did.
hmm
But he kind of tips him off and he knows like he's staying alive and he's hanging out with player 101, who's like the gangster.
The
They're the group.
snake face, yeah.
Snake face. And they figure out a way to know what the next game is, keep the guy alive, keep their little fucking organ deal going.
Yep.
But teams of 10, and you don't know what the game is at that time. Like the other teams don't. So you're like, do we want all dudes? Do we want a couple small people, a couple quick people? What are we doing? And then it's just fucking straight up tug of war.
Over with like 100-foot crevasse. That like oh fuck.
Which
And
I feel like this is now they had a great game plan in it.
Mhm.
Sort of like lean back like that, and then the other guy, actually 218, kind of bails him out, and he has the idea to sort of like let them and then fucking pull him.
And it was it was the old guy too, who was like basically talking them through it.
So he did, and which again, because he's seen it for 30 years there,
Right.
he's seen the game. So he was like, we all kind of lean back like this, kind of like tire him out. But they still would have died if it wasn't for 218. The guy who was the dickhead. It was his plan to be like, all right, let them fucking go and then yank him in. Like but that's kind of a crapshoot. That's really
It's a crapshoot, and if you again, it all depends on your team. So that's why you got to have like a balanced team, right? And so much of like tug of war is like how much tug of war I've played in my life, but like it's all about coordination and communicating with your team. Because if you just start yanking and try to like brutes, like you're gonna get tired, you're gonna slip.
Oh, that ain't it. You gotta like kind of pull together. Yeah,
and it's like you gotta like coordinate the pull.
Yeah.
Like when they're like let go. Oh my god! I'm like everything I'm saying is an innuendo tonight. Someone like flip it over and do it from the backside. Josh just pointed out.
Coordinate the pull. He says.
Coordinate the pull.
It's always helped me.
It's always helped me. We didn't have fancy birth control methods like you guys, like pulling out.
Coitus interruptus. So what I've always loved, Ryan, or no, one of the best parts, and we sort of hit on this a little bit earlier, of the show was the tug of war was so good at like bringing the team together, and like so the surviving teams, they did it as a team, and it was like such a big deal, and like all those groups were
So
like
in your
really
mind, you're like,
team,
we're a team.
team.
We're a team. Yep.
Next game, they're like, all right, teams of 2. So they go around, and you're thinking team of 2, like you're gonna compete with that person, and then it's a one-on-one marble game. One person wins, one person dies.
And this was the husband and wife team up. And the husband and like
Unbelievable.
and I love, oh my god, this was the hardest episode to watch, but it was also the best because Ji-hoon goes with the old guy
Yep.
who's bailed him out so many times.
And he almost didn't. Like they were looking for team. Like it was sort of like a long process. He almost didn't go with him. And then ultimately he was like, you know what? I'm going to like this guy, you know, I trust
helped
him, he's
me.
smart,
Yeah.
he's helped me. And he went with him. And then it's just like
And the thing that killed me too is that we haven't even talked about it. Is like after the games, they're in that room, like they're still trying to fucking kill each other because it doesn't matter how a person dies, right?
So that part I didn't really like. Like, I mean, I guess that's what it would be.
Right,
So it's like, all right, you can kill each other in there. But I was like, I don't know. I thought to me, why that was kind of lame is if the whole point is to have these people, like these big buyers, go and watch and bet on it and things like that. And that in that regard, it reminded me very much of the movie Hostel.
Yeah.
Like Hostel 2 is very much like, hey, you can show up here and you can fucking cut a guy in the neck, you can cut a guy in the dick, you can do whatever
It's
you
an
want.
auction, and you can the highest bidder can do whatever they want to this person.
So that was very hostile to me. But I was like, wouldn't they want to see the deaths? I guess maybe that's Cameron. But
And
like,
they keep talking about the whole time, like this is fair. Like this is fair. Like the reason we're doing this is the rules are the same for everybody. But in the end, they're really not because, like you said,
and like to kill each other in there, and then like I thought maybe like, all right, let them do it once, and then I think also it had to do with like a numbers game, like they were probably trying to get like a certain number, but that part was like, I didn't like that part as much.
And
but that part was crazy. As soon as and there was the scene. So also we haven't mentioned her yet. We're gonna go through the characters, but character 67, the North Korean defector, the girl.
Yep.
Awesome character.
She was great, and the woman that she was
with that other girl,
the other girl who like they have that whole conversation,
yeah,
and then she was like, "Just take him." Like she was just like, "Take." But the other thing too, what fucking killed me, Ali, the guy, and a guy who was just like
199.
He was just the nicest person and was just trying to be so helpful,
and he had a family.
The guy fucked him.
Yep.
Right, like that.
A bad guy.
He's a bad guy. And I think ultimately he's redeemed in the end, but like he's a shithead. Like that guy's. Yeah.
218, who was 456's friend.
And his name was Sang-woo.
And even in like the real world, he's one of the guys that like still gives off this persona like he's successful, whereas like all the other people that are like that you kind of know that they're not, like 456 like you know that he's not, and like all this other shit, whereas this guy, his mom still thinks he's like a big deal. And but that conversation between the two girls was really
this episode
really
was heartbreaking.
Yep.
And again, you saw like Il-nam, the old guy, like you didn't see him die.
No,
but there was that conversation that he had. He's like, "You're my my gongbu or something like that."
Yeah, like best
and
ball
he's
or
like,
whatever.
And he's like, "So you're my blah blah blah." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Then why have you been trying to trick me the whole time?" And I was like, "Oh, you fucking asshole!" No,
I know.
I was like, "Oh," like that. Just it was like a gut punch that whole episode.
Oh my god, because then at that point, like, who were you rooting for then? Like, which character?
Nobody.
Right.
Like nobody. Like I was all of these characters. I'm like on this team. I'm like I'm rooting for even the crazy girl. I'm like, oh fuck, she's great. Like, and except for the guy with the snake face, I didn't like him. And I think that was the whole point. Like he was just an asshole. You
weren't supposed to. I guess. Like I was probably rooting for 67, the young girl. And I was rooting for 456, although he wasn't like perfect. Like he wasn't like 100% rooting for him, but you're like, I think I'm I think they wanted you to kind of side with him a little bit, and he ends up being very clearly the main character.
Mhm.
But yeah, that game was tough. I certainly was not rooting for his friend, his childhood friend 218. Like that's
No,
one
because
guy.
you knew he was going to screw. As soon
Well,
as
he
he figured it out, he was going to screw him. Yeah.
Yeah, he fucked him for sure. Oh, Hash King has a good point. You're rooting for the cop. That's true. The cop
Yeah.
who wasn't in, like he wasn't in it though.
So
Like, he
his
was-
brother, we found out his brother won, but his brother was also the front man.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So and
And
then
so
he shoots him.
sees
Yeah.
when he's flipping through the thing, and when he tipped me off that there's only
Mm-hmm.
one winner, you find out that his brother won it in 2015.
Mhm.
Because that's the
And he
only
was
reason why-
he had been looking for his brother. That's the whole impetus of this thing is he didn't know who his brother was.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason why he investigated it is because
Yeah.
because 456 went to the cops at one point and then kind of like withdrew his like claims.
Mhm.
He was like, that sounds kind of familiar, like what's going on there? And then he sort of looked into it, and that's how he got there. And so that story was great. All right, so we go from red light, green light to the sugar candy game to tug of war to the marble game to the crossing the bridge game.
So this game's you're fucked. If you like I want to go first, like you're fucked. Like there's no way you can make it out of there.
There's no chance. Like
And I guess
it's
they call
one-
it this is technically hopscotch,
okay.
technically, but like
And so there's just no chance. Like if you pull, so at this point there's only 16 players left,
yeah.
and if you're in the top 10, you have no fucking chance, and probably even more, like top 12. And one of the cool scenes was when the one guy just fucking ran like a banshee.
Which I think at that point you do it. That's what you do. You just like, all right, fuck it. Like I get 50-50.
and hope
you
that
know.
it doesn't break even. Like if you step on it quick, you're just like hoping that maybe, I mean, it does, but you're hoping
Yeah.
that it won't.
But what I loved about that too was that he went so fast that people were like, "Oh shit! Like which one did he step on?" Like it happened so fast that they didn't remember. Like that's exactly what would happen too. Like you're not going to remember like exactly where he went. You're just like,
And that
"Oh
one's
shit!"
the setup to that one's good too, because they're all like, pick a number.
Mhm.
And you're like, what the fuck? Like,
For what? Yeah.
you don't know
Yeah.
what for. And like,
Mhm.
do you want to be the first one? Like, maybe.
So
you don't.
this,
Yeah.
what I loved about this game is this is when you finally, this is the episode you finally meet, like what do they call them, like the investors or something like that. They're the guys who like come and watch.
Yeah.
And
this
one
is
of
where
the
it was
things I loved about this, and I was laughing my ass off in this episode, Korean writers writing English was the funniest thing to me. Like the way that they spoke English in a Korean show
yeah.
was not anything like what anybody would have said.
No.
Like, whoa, it does not look fortuitous for that guy. Like that's how the English sounds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's not how anyone talks.
No. No.
Like,
it's
oh,
not.
what a disastrous turn of events for that guy.
It is pretty good. But like, I was surprised that they only had less than 10 people there. Like, is this how profitable is this?
This doesn't sound right.
That's
Yeah.
not right at all.
Yeah.
And that one guy was not interested in the events at all. He wanted to go
He just wanted to
back to the bathroom and have sex.
have happy fun times.
Have sex. So then you go from the crossing the bridge game, and then they have like the dinner where there's only like a couple of players left. 3 players left.
Mhm.
456, 218, and 67. And they feed them at like a Bruce Wayne table.
Oh, and it's just like hard to watch. Like none of them are enjoying it, and they're
No.
just like, "What's
And
her
they all-
name?" Is like dying at the
She's dying.
table.
Yeah, 'cause she got fucked up from the
The glass.
blast at the glass
Mhm.
before, and then they all like take their knives with them, and I'm like, oh god.
And I think that was like, okay.
Yeah.
And I think what's his name was like, Sung Woo was like, she's dying anyway. Like it just eliminates one person that we don't have to deal with.
But he's like, don't the other guy, but
Yeah.
but the other guy's like, don't kill her. And then so then you get to the Squid Game, which is actually how the whole series begins. Like if you go
Mhm.
back to the very first episode, it's a bunch of kids playing that game.
And apparently, in talking to Korean people, which I have the ability to do, which is really cool,
Yes.
is this is a real game.
Okay.
And it's basically a more sophisticated Red Rover. So like you can
Makes sense.
annihilate people playing this game. And like basically like when you're running through, you have to be on like 1 foot. Like when you're running around the thing. So people just get like, you can just truck people in this game. And it's like kids play this game and like they come home like all fucked up.
Yeah.
So so it's like super violent, but kids.
Yeah.
So it's a great like And the rules are weird. Like they ran me. I've had Korean kids explain this game to me several times.
Yeah, just watching it a couple of times through, it's not super complicated, but I wouldn't know how to play it. Like
It's
you
basically
get,
a
like,
mix
1
of
foot until you cross the line, and then you
Yep.
can fucking run through. But then this guy can like just smear you like
Right.
like his business. Yeah.
So basically, it's a Red Rover and like Capture the Flag, basically a mix together. So the middle part is like it's a bridge.
Yeah.
So if you're an attacking person, you have to hop on 1 foot unless you cross the bridge, and then you can run on 2 feet. But you have to go through the square and into the triangle. And like the triangle in the triangle is like, if you touch that, you win.
Got it.
But at the same time, if you get pushed out or you touch a line, you're out.
Pretty crazy.
So it's like they just fucking body each other. Yeah.
Or you just kind of knife fight and fucking stab a guy in the neck and
Or
kill
then
him
you
that way.
wind up killing yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, or you just die that way. Which I was wondering if they're going to give him points for that. I couldn't tell. I'm like, does he have to kill him, or like if that guy kills himself? I for a split second thought they weren't going to give him the money.
Oh yeah,
because he didn't actually kill him.
Right, but he just said that it just has to be down to 1 player. They never they leave it like that on purpose.
He was last man standing,
and he was trying to get him to quit.
Yes.
Because you never said, remember, it has to be a majority vote. We can decide. And he was trying to begging the guy to like be like, just stop.
Oh, he's clearly like the best character or like best in the sense that like he would have given up all the money just to save that guy.
Yeah.
Whereas the other guy would not have done that.
No.
At all. Good question from Hash King. If what number would you have chosen, not knowing what the game was, 1 through 16? I personally would have picked 9. That was my high school football number. So I would have picked 9 and I would have died.
Yep. 11 is my lucky number. So I would have picked that and I would have been better than you. But
you would have watched me.
I would have watched you die. Yeah.
Let's see what else. So yeah, basically the characters, we kind of hit on them all throughout. Again, the old man, you kind of knew something was up. He confides in 456 that he has a brain tumor, but he wants to do it. But then you don't find out to the very, very end that he's the one doing the whole thing. There's actually one scene earlier where he's in a separate room, but you only see his back.
You don't know it's him. Yeah.
You don't know that it's him, and then you find out later.
But it's funny. He does actually have a brain tumor, and he was he's talking about like there's that great scene with them at the end with Ji-hyun in that room that's like just him in like a hospital bed, and he dies in the room. But it's like that whole conversation about like life and how like there's no excitement. Like money only brings you so much excitement, and there's only like and you see kind of Ji-hyun like spiral, like when he gets home, like he just doesn't. They have that conversation. He goes to the bank and they're like, "You haven't done anything with this money. Like you haven't touched it."
And didn't spend a penny of the 45 billion.
Yeah. And then he asked, it's this weird thing. He asked them for like, again, like 10,000 won, and he buys like a bottle of wine. So he's doesn't really give a shit about the money anymore.
Well, he's just so like fucking tripped out by the whole thing. And there's that scene too where he's talking to the old guy and he's looking out, and there's like the drunk on the street. There's a whole thing there, and he's like, nobody's gonna help him, and he's like, you have until 11 o'clock for somebody to help him. Then somebody does show up and help him, but like it doesn't really matter. But yeah, the other character you're really pulling for is the police officer who's in there, and you're trying to make sure that he snuffs this out. Because one of my questions is, if this game's been going on for 30 years and this many people have disappeared, I find it kind of tough to believe that it wouldn't have gotten snuffed out at some point.
People disappear every day.
I guess.
Especially people who owe other people money. Like they just disappear.
So that's true. They do a pretty good job of finding people that would be willing to do this and wouldn't exactly tell a lot of people where they were going.
Right.
Plus, they do that whole thing where they you meet at a spot, you go in a van, they fucking drug you, you don't know where you're going. I get that part, but
yeah,
it's been going on for a pretty long time. They already announced the season 2, and again, the series ends, and so LeBron didn't like the ending.
I didn't either, and that's why I'm getting it at 5.5. I don't typically agree with LeBron James, but I don't, because remember his whole motivation. So he said was that he needed the money in order to keep his daughter in the because his daughter and his wife and her new husband and his daughter were going to move to America.
Right.
So he needed the money to keep her there.
Oh, the other part, real quick, is one of the reasons why he doesn't spend a penny is because he also needed the money to help his mother because she was sick and he
Yes.
was gone too long. He came back and his mother was dead.
Right.
So that also completely fucked him over. He was like, I was there. I wasn't with my mom when she needed me. And so, yeah, I have all this money for her surgeries, but like
But for nothing.
for nothing. So that really fucked him.
And so what really fucked me up at the end was like, you did all of this for your daughter. You have the opportunity then. First of all, he goes BTS and like dyes his hair the color of their suits, which was odd.
Yeah, I didn't really get that.
I didn't get that. There might be some like symbolic thing there. I just went over my head, but he's leaving. He's going to LA to visit his daughter with literally a suitcase full of money, and decides to go back. And the guy on the other end of the phone was like, "Don't do this."
Well, because what he saw the guy
the paper guy
that recruited him
Yeah.
setting up another game, like smacking a guy in the face and like playing the game, and even makes eye contact with the guy, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to let this happen." But they keep track of everybody, which is pretty good little twist.
So
And
he grabs the card, and they're like, they know it's him, and
Yeah.
they say, "Was it player 456?" Like,
Yep.
Don't do like. What do they say? Like, let it go or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I would have been like, fine, good luck, man. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, I did my thing. I'm out.
Yeah, at that point, I would bail because, like you said, obviously it's devastating that you weren't there for your mom, but you still have your daughter. So, like, and you have all this money.
You have all this money. You don't have to worry about
Just
anything.
fucking move on.
anymore.
But I guess
Yeah.
part of him's like he doesn't want all these other people to.
Or he's responsible now. Like, he knows, so he's responsible for it. Which is like,
Yes.
then you're a better person than me, because I would be like,
Yeah.
fine, good fucking luck, man. You know.
Jason in the chat talking about character 212 was the kind of really loud lady who had bathroom sex with Snakeface.
And what was one of her last lines, Richard, given it that it's small dick fall?
Which is, oh, you have a small dick.
You just told me you had a small dick. By the way, your dick sucks. And
Hey.
they die together.
Join the club, buddy. Come on in. Come on in, 199. Oh, no. 101. 101.
The Lil Dicky song, My Dick Sucks.
All right. So what do you want / expect from season 2?
Because it has been announced.
It has been
Season 2 is
announced.
coming.
So I would assume it would be player 456 trying to convince people that this is happening and to shut it down, and it would be them trying to stop him from alerting people. But
And
then
the cop
also,
is still alive.
I believe the cop is still alive.
He got shot in the arm by his brother, but he fell, but you never saw him die.
And that was
That's
that was an intense scene, like his brother chasing him down, and then they confront each other, and then he doesn't fucking kill shot him, but he
wings
shoots
him.
Yeah, he wings him. And so that he's kind of off. Because I wonder if it's too far-fetched, but I wonder if season 2 somehow could end with player 456 doing like a 180 and actually working for the Squid Game.
That would be great. And also what I would like to see is the origin of how this game started. So I would like it to go kind of like have an episode where it's like, this is how the whole thing started.
that would be good. Yeah, they should probably do that because they established it as having gone on for a long time.
Yeah.
Because you know that it's probably like at this point it's like a fine-tuned machine, but prior to, because they have so many employees that like prior to it must have been pretty kind of ragtag, and it probably started out with like 10 people
or
like 50.
You have the front man, what's his name, the cop's brother, and show how he won and what happened to him in one episode.
That'd be good too.
Yeah, because like how he ended up like winning all that money, but then wound up working for them.
Yeah, so they could even catch up again because they're both still alive, right? And they could go and have a conversation or something like that. God damn, good show! What a show!
What a fucking show, man!
Absolute program. Anything else on Squid
Fucking
Game?
watch it. Hopefully, if you're listening to this point, you've already seen it.
Well, I would assume at this point.
But if you're listening to this point, fuck yeah, man, good show.
And I'll tell you, I bet this is gonna be a finalist for best TV show of the year when we do the Dorkies.
Oh God, yeah,
yeah.
So far, yeah.
Get an inside track.
We'll see though. We'll see because we got some things coming up.
We do. We've had some good shows.
Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb.
All right, Ryan, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or you may also choose at this time to defend a goal?
I will receive. I will take the ball.
Okay.
This week. And again, first of all, say thank you to everybody who has contributed or retweeted or liked any tweet I had regarding Movember. We are officially halfway through Movember this week. We both look great. Rich and I both look great if you're watching this on YouTube. We are well towards our goal of $2,000 for the month. Thank you to everybody we had one anonymous donation for $500, which is like
awesome.
I can't do every time something like this happens, like it's amazing. The community, the little community you and I have carved out for this thing continues to blow me away. And I will be eternally grateful.
Yeah,
for that. So thank you to everybody who's contributed. If you haven't yet, the link is on my Twitter at @ArvonD. So make sure you go check that out and contribute any way you can. Now, there are two shows right now that are animated shows that are on Netflix right now that you should definitely check out. I mentioned one last week. It has continued. Arcane is actually really, really good. If you haven't seen that yet, you can watch that. It's a weekly show, but I think there's like 4 or 5 episodes now. The other one, I have 3 picks of the pods, by the way. So 2. So hear me out.
Got it.
So on Friday, the live action Cowboy Bebop is going to start. I have a weird feeling that that's going to be a standalone episode. Hear me out. I think it is. I think it looks awesome. If you are so inclined as to catch up, all of the Cowboy Bebop series is on Netflix right now. So if you haven't seen that, you have time to check all of that out. They're half-hour episodes. They're really fast. And it's a really cool show. And by the way, one of the best English dubs there is.
Really?
So you can watch it in English. And the dub is actually the Bozo didn't do the dub. It's actually really
did the dub?
He did it. That's why it's a viral video. And the last one, I watched the first episode of this, and I'm oddly fascinated with this show called Swap Shop on Netflix.
Ooh, Swap Shop.
So Swap Shop is a AM radio station in Tennessee. So think of like It's Amazing Race, Facebook Marketplace, and Antiques Roadshow. So people call in to this radio show, and they have like these diehard fans, and someone will be like, I have a 69 Mustang for sale, blah, blah, blah. And it's whoever can get to them first, like gets it. So these people are constantly listening to this radio show and listening to people call in and then immediately race to go get shit. And some of the stuff that they find is amazing. So if you haven't seen Swap Shop, like definitely check that out.
Sure. I like it. I'm going to go with a show that's going on. I think they're at the midway point so far at HBO, Succession. I know you have not watched it, Ryan,
but I know I have to, and I'm so pissed at myself. I'm so backlogged with shit.
It is season 3, and it is rolling around nicely. It is the Sunday at 9 show on HBO, so you know it's good because every single HBO 9 o'clock Sunday show is really good. So that show is rolling on, and it is good. So maybe we'll do something on that at some point. If you watch it, great. If not, that might be one that I outsource and we do a dink on because it's a good program. Next week, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Sneaky. This movie snuck up on me. I didn't know this was coming out this soon. It's like, where's the marketing for this movie?
I feel like I saw a trailer for it like a year ago, and then like I haven't seen shit since.
And then they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's coming out next week." And you're like, "Hold on, what?" It's like,
I think we'll do that.
I'm dying to see it. It's getting pretty good reviews.
All right,
so
cool. All right.
It's Carrie Coon movie, so we kind of have to see it.
That is a good point. Carrie Coon and Sexiest Man Alive, Paul Rudd is in that as well.
Right on.
All right, you guys can rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Tell a friend, tell a dork. Apple Podcasts, just about everywhere else you get your podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Dork Podcast. Subscribe to the channel there. Check out Davey's Twitter handle at ArvonD, the pinned tweet there if you want to help donate to the Movember page, or at least retweet that and pass that along to everybody else, certainly for the rest of the month. And I think that's about it. You don't give a shit, do you?
What'd you say?
I said, you don't give a shit, do you?
Not really.